My name's Corey Costelloe and we're here at 20 Chapel Restaurant in Marrickville. The menu here at 20 Chapel focuses, I guess, on produce and sourcing produce that we know the supplier in some way, or we trust the supplier to make sure that the provenance of it is up to the standard that I'm used to. But it's mainly a steakhouse that revolves around buying in whole animals, so whole carcasses of beef. And we use David Blackmore for that, which I'm very thankful of having that connection and that supply chain that comes from him. Getting a whole carcass of beef in is a fun and enjoyable thing to do. It really, it takes up a lot of time, but it's the sort of thing that as a chef you find enjoyable. Because a lot of chefs don't get to do that nowadays. Things come in pre-portioned, which is great, but we are losing the art of breaking down a bit of meat or tying a bit or trussing. Those skills are sort of being lost. But yes, it does have its challenges. There's a lot of work. Particularly, breaking off the fat into the parts, breaking off the mince into the parts, and then utilising all of that, and just monitoring which bits are ready to go and which bits aren't, making sure you don't age it too much and then have to cut off too much of the excess aging. We're learning as we go, but yeah, it's something that's very rewarding and gives us a lot of freedom to play around with things that we might not normally receive. So it comes in on pallets in quarters. Each quarter is sort of, anywhere from about 80 kilos up to 150 kilos. The first cuts that we take off the hanging body are usually the skirts. This is the inside skirt. Because it's so thin, you can't really cook it to a temperature. But for a group of people, what we do is we just put the whole thing on the grill, char it up nicely. So you can see that it just crusts up so beautifully, this one. Rest it and then slice it. And it always comes out sort of medium well, but it works really, really well for this cut. And then we just work our way through the body and into different parts. So after we take the skirts and the fillets off, we portion them into steaks to grill. And they come onto the menu straight away. And then, after that we take the sirloins off and the ribs, and they stay in the cool room and age. So the sirloins and the ribs we don't need to paint or do anything with. They just hang. They've got a lot of fat and protective tissue around them that we can cut off later. But then some of the other cuts, like the Eye of Chuck and the Denver, some of those we do paint in the Wagyu fat. So you get a lot of fat off a Wagyu, so we mince that fat through a big commercial mincer, and then we boil it down until it makes tallow. We cook our potato wedges in that, and we use the fat for different things. Some of the other things that we do, we have the shins, which are quite textural, need braising, so we make a beef pie out of that. The pastry has beef fat through the pastry. And then, if you sort of move up the leg a little bit more, we've got like what's called the girello. So what we do with that is we cure it. We spike it, salt it, leave it curing for about 4 days in a brine, take it out after that 4 days, and then we hang it up for a month and cover it with spices and make bastorma. So we shave that very, very thin and serve it very simply with some pickles. Utilising the body like that, we have to be creative and we have to be clever in what we do. We are always changing, and then we'll find little cuts of beef as well that we didn't know what they were, so we'll do a bit of research, we'll find out what's best for them, and that might be grilling them or curing them or braising them. On the menu, our potato wedges that are finished in beef tallow. They're probably one of the most popular items. So this is our handkerchief steak. So it's a top side that's sliced very thin, and then we brush it with some soy, egg yolk, and then we essentially just fold it in on itself. Smoked brown butter and some lemon, and that's our little handkerchief steak. This one here, in my opinion, is the best. The marbling you get off this, it's actually called chuck tail flap. The term Denver is also used, and so that's the term now that Sydney uses a lot. Really highly marbled, so it's not as tender as you know, something like a bavette, but the flavor that you get from it is unparalleled. It's not one of my personal favorites. It is my favorite. We've got some a white bolognese that we do with all the mince. So being a big body, there is a lot of mince. Yeah, we do some little merguez sausages with a little date puree on the side of it. So yeah, the sausages are, we've always had a sausage or something like that on the menu. We used to have rissoles on in winter, and you know, they make an appearance again in winter. So this here is the rose meat that's come from the outside of the hind quarter. So we've pulled this off in part of the first steps. So we'll cook this for 72 hours in soy and ginger. It'll shrink right up, and then we'll finish it on the wood fire grill. It gets snapped up by 1 or 2 people, and they always comment like, what is that? Why haven't I never had anything like that before? Yeah, not many people would have something like this on their menu or be able to facilitate, you know, the cooking of it. This is our brisket that we have that we've braised for 72 hours in the soy and ginger. We cut it into sort of smaller pieces like this, and then we'll grill it on the char grill and we'll glaze it up. It's probably one of our most well-received dishes. It's served with a little yuzu and chili yogurt on the side. The onions on top, very savory. They help with all the sweetness from the glaze. It does have its challenges, but it's definitely rewarding. If you've got the space and you've got the time, then it's fun. As I said before, I'm pretty fortunate that I have a relationship with the Blackmore family. It's one of the best things you can have is to, you know where your food comes from. And I've been to the farm, I've had a look at the paddocks, I've seen the feed, I've seen the grass, I've seen the processes that go into it. To have that relationship with a beef supplier is something that is quite special and something I'm very proud of.